It is Wednesday, June 10th of 2020. On my way to work, but we've got something to talk about here on Guy's Daily Drive. And good morning. It's Guy's Daily Drive, and before I get started on the topic, weather is so subjective. Like right now, according to the temperature that's showing in my car, it's 80 degrees. But it feels cooler than that. And maybe it's because the sun isn't beating down, maybe because when I was outside or had the window down, there was a cool breeze blowing. I don't know, but it just doesn't feel like 80 degrees. But it probably will on my way home. But we will deal with that when I'm on my way home. So, if you've listened to the MyMac.com podcast or the Mac to the Future Go live cast, which we'll be doing tonight, hopefully, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over there on the Facebooks. There's been a lot of talk about Apple moving the Mac to ARM processors. And when all of this first started up again, I was kind of poo-pooing it, thinking that, Apple's just released the iMac Pro, and they just released the Mac Pro, and a switch to ARM processors for the platform is insulting to the people that have purchased that very expensive hardware. And I still maintain, up until the time when I am proven wrong, and it could happen. Certainly I've been mistaken before. But there's been even more talk lately. Lots of websites are starting to say, Apple's going to move the Mac to ARM-based processors, and there's going to be a talk that, they're going to announce it at WWDC, which should be in the next couple of weeks. The virtual one, obviously, since they're not doing a real one, or not real one, but sorry, they're not doing having one with a physical presence. So that's what a lot of people are saying, and I don't know. I'm still not convinced that they're going to do it because, well, obviously because, as I already said, they just released the Mac Pro and the iMac Pro, which are both on Intel Xeon processors, and these are very expensive computers. I mean, heck, you can outfit a Mac Pro, if you went this ridiculously nuts on it, at over $60,000, especially if you throw in the special monitor and wheels. My God, $400 for wheels for a desktop computer. I mean, that's insanity. It really is. That's just nuts. But anyway, the thing about Apple's history of moving their platform in one direction or another, and they've done it many times. Twice with processors, and really twice, maybe three times with the operating system. You had the switch from System 6 to System 7, which in a lot of ways was a big change. It became multi-app aware. Prior to that, you could only run one app at a time. And System 7 through 9 introduced the multi-finder. Didn't work that well, but they introduced it. And then, of course, you had to switch from System 9 to OS 10, OS X, however you want to say it, where we've been for a while. And now they've kind of gradually shifted from the classic OS 10 as they've gone more and more into being pure 64-bit. And I would maintain that the OS 10 of the early years, while it certainly shares some similarities, is really kind of a different operating system than what it used to be. And as far as hardware goes, as far as hardware goes, you had the original Motorola 68K processors. And then in the early 90s, they swapped from those to the PowerPC, which was a conglomeration between Apple, Motorola, and IBM, the AIM Alliance. And then when IBM kind of dropped the ball on updates for PowerPC, Apple switched to Intel 2005-2006. Now, the big similarity as far as hardware goes was that once Apple announced the change, every single computer that they had was switched from the old processor to a new processor or discontinued altogether. So, and they always did that within a year. Because here's the thing, Apple, to this point, has never done, well, they had an Intel 68K hybrid machine long time ago. But as far as general release computers, they have never, ever had dual processor machines. They never had 68K to PowerPC. They never had PowerPC to Intel. And if this move is correct and they go to ARM processors, their own custom designed ARM processors, they won't do, in my opinion, they won't do a dual ARM Intel computer either. Which means that everyone who has, if this is true, everyone who has purchased an Intel-based Mac within a year after the announcement has, for the most part, thrown their money away. Because you're not going to get the longevity that you typically get with a Mac. I use MyMacs for 5 to 7 years. Well, if they go to ARM, that's not going to be possible. You're looking at machines that have a shelf life of, instead of 5 to 7 years, of 2 to 3 years. And that's a significant drop. And for Apple, that also means that, number one, they'll have to sell those machines at fire sale prices, because why would anyone purchase a Mac, an Intel Mac, full price after the announcement that Apple's going to ARM processors? And the answer is very few people would. I sort of did it, but only because it was a fire sale price. When they switched to PowerPC, I was still on a Mac Plus, which was about 7 years old at the time. And they had a Performa 575, which was a Motorola 040 processor, marked about 50% off of what it had been. And this was just after they announced the move to PowerPC. And I went ahead and bought that machine because I needed one to replace the Mac Plus, and I couldn't afford to wait much longer. And it was just a great price at the time for that machine. So, but very few people are going to do that at full price. So Apple has a here, and granted they've got plenty of money, so it's not like they couldn't ride it out over 2 years and just slowly release Macs using ARM processors, but they won't do that. Within a year, they'll replace every single current shipping Mac with an ARM-based one, or they'll discontinue the previous Intel line. That's if that happens. But there's another possibility. What if instead of replacing the Mac line, they come out with a new line of computers that use the ARM processor, and it could use the same similar code base that iOS and the Mac share, and it could still have very, very similar, if not the same, GUI elements that the Mac OS has. But it's not the Mac OS, it's something else. Keyboard, mouse, everything that you've expected to see from a Mac over the years. Maybe even add a touch interface, like we've seen with the iPad OS recently. But it would be something new, and all of those people who bought Macs and all of those people who would probably continue to buy Macs wouldn't feel like they were getting ripped off or left behind. Anyway, those are my thoughts. You can let me know what you think. Send me an email, guy@mymac.com, twitter.com/MacParrot, twitter.com/VertShark. You can find me, and I'm starting to transition more over to VertShark from MacParrot. Coffee.com/VertShark. Patreon.com/MacParrot. PayPal.me/MacParrot. And I may change those other two over relatively soon. You can find all of my content over at VertShark.com, both audio and video. You can subscribe to the audio version of all of this stuff by just looking me up, VertShark, over on the YouTubes. Like, share, subscribe. If you missed it the first time, like, share, subscribe. Or in the podcatcher of your choice, just look for Guy's Daily Drive. You'll get not only the audio version of Guy's Daily Drive, but the audio version of Mac to the Future Go livecast. And, this is going to sound weird, the audio version of the video version of the MyMac.com podcast. The full version, including after show, which is sometimes the best part of the show, is still in the MyMac feed, and that's where that's where it will stay. I'm not putting after show in for the audio feed of the video feed for the MyMac.com podcast. And that is going to do it for today. Thank you all so very, very much for joining me. And I will see you probably this afternoon right here on Guy's Daily Drive. Bye-bye.